Hey, hi everyone, this is Akash and welcome back to your own channel where we are going to learn things about stock market. In this particular video, I'm going to specifically going to teach you about how to use MACD, that is moving average convergence and divergence. It's a very popular indicator used by majority of the traders. In this particular video, you're going to learn the following things, that is, what are the building blocks of MACD, means how exactly a particular MACD is been plotted on a particular chart. That is something that we will understand. Secondly, we'll try to understand how to interpret MACD signal. For example, how do you exactly identify like a reversal is going to happen? How do you know that what is a primary trend? And all these other related stuff is what we are going to learn in this particular video. Now, before we get on to the MACD signal, there is some basic simple concept related to trend which I think that everyone should be first aware about, right? Now, whenever we talk about any particular stock move, right, whether it is an uptrend or downtrend, we know that if a stock is moving upward direction, it will not continuously move up. It will move at some point slightly downward, and then again it will start moving in the upward direction. Then again it will start giving some kind of correction or consolidation, and then again it will reverse, or rather not reverse, it will move in its original trend. So basically, if I ask you people at any time, like what is the trend of this particular stock, I'm sure all of you will say the trend is actually uptrend, right? That is very clear and correct answer. But we know that at some point there were small minor corrections or downward move which happened into this particular trend. So overall the major trend is up, and this overall major uptrend is nothing but your primary move. So understand this move over here is nothing but your primary move, and small simple corrections which are happening in between the major move are nothing but your secondary move, right? So one thing that anyone needs to understand about the trend is that in a main trend itself there are two moves, one is primary, other is secondary. Another very important thing about the trend is that it will not remain in the same direction forever. Like none of the stock that we talk about is always going to remain in uptrend. At some point they'll either consolidate or they will reverse their original direction. Now, when does the reversal happens? For example, let's suppose the stock was moving up, it gives some kind of correction. At some point this correction might actually get converted into a complete new reversal, and a new trend which is in the downward direction might completely arise in this particular stock. So as a trader, it's very important for us to know like what is the primary trend, what is the secondary trend, when is the correction happening, and when exactly the correction is getting converted into a complete reversal. If you know these things, I'm trust me, you will be able to do very good in the markets, right? So let's understand how to use MACD in order to identify these things. But before, let's understand the building blocks of MACD. Now MACD, whenever you apply by default, you will see these are the settings as in any particular MACD that you will come across. So we have a fast length, we have a slow length, we have source, and we have signal length. So these basically fast length and slow length are nothing but EMAs. So the number that you put is nothing but your 12 EMA and 26 EMA. The same EMA I have also plotted on the chart so that you exactly see the EMAs on the chart itself. Source says closing, that means you have plotted this EMAs by using the closing price of every candle. It might be a 1 minute candle or 1 day candle, 1 week candle, doesn't matter, but the closing price of that particular candle is utilized in order to do the calculation. Signal length is something that we'll talk about slowly, slightly after some time. Let's first understand this particular indicator MACD. So we can see there are three main parts of MACD. One is the blue line, the other one is the orange line, and the next one is the histogram. So let's understand how this blue color line is been plotted. So this blue color line, guys, is nothing but the difference between the averages that we have selected. So over here we are having 12 EMA, exponential moving average, and 26 EMA, that is exponential moving average. The difference between these two EMAs is been calculated, and then that difference is been plotted as a MACD signal, right? Blue line. As we can see, the distance keeps on increasing. As we see the distance keeps on increasing, the number or the value of this blue line also keeps on increasing, and we get a upward line of this particular MACD line, blue line. So basically, as the difference increases, the signal line or the blue color line will keep on moving in the upward direction. So that's the one building block of MACD. The second building block of MACD is this particular orange line. Now this orange line, as we can see, is nothing but the 9 exponential moving average of the blue line. So if I apply a moving average on this blue line, right, then that particular number will be plotted over here, and that number is taken by considering 9 previous points of this blue line. So if I take the 9 exponential moving average of this blue line, I'll be getting this point. So basically, in order to smooth this particular line, I'm drawing this orange line. It's that simple, nothing complicated, right? And finally, let's talk about histogram. The difference between these two lines itself is plotted by a histogram. So if the both the lines are above 0, the histogram will be green. If both the lines are below 0, the histogram will become red. And as the difference between, or the gap between these two lines increases, the histogram will keep on moving in the upward direction. Whenever the crossover between these lines happens, as we can see, the histogram will turn red, and as we see them decreasing in the downward direction with the increasing gap, we keep on getting darker and darker histogram colors. So that's the very basic fundamental building block of how a particular MACD indicator has been created or been plotted, right? Now let's get into the idea, like how do you actually interpret any kind of MACD. So the first thing that you need to understand is that MACD should be first used in order to identify a primary trend. So over here, whenever the MACD blue line, this particular blue line, you see above 0. So we can see at this particular point, the blue line went above 0. As soon as it went above 0, it indicates that the primary trend is now positive. So we can see this particular entire move was a move where the primary trend was positive. Now what does it means for you? So it means that anytime you even see a red candle, you should not be very afraid, or even if you see a small consolidation or a correction, you should actually use them as a buying opportunity for averaging or adding your position further, right? Why? Because the primary trend over here is positive. Are you getting? Similarly, when this blue color line actually goes below the 0 color point, we can see that the signal has given us an idea of trend reversal. That means the trend which was previously acting like a primary trend was positive. After this particular point, the trend has become negative. Now what does it indicate? It indicates that even when this correction was happening, or this particular upward move was happening, I will not go and participate in this move. Why? Because my primary trend has already become negative. So very simple rule: if MACD signal, that is blue line, not signal line, blue line, is below 0, understand that the primary trend is negative and you should focus on selling on the rise. So after a rise, focus on selling. After a rise, focus on selling. So this is how you should think about, right? And if you think that the primary trend is positive, that is the MACD line is above 0, then whenever you get a pullback, you try to buy. Whenever you get a pullback, you try to buy and keep on adding in your position. So basically, the blue line, if it is above 0, the primary trend is positive. If it is below 0, primary trend is negative. It's that simple. Now after this, let us understand few more things about MACD signal. So here we can see that signal line actually turned positive at this particular stage, right? So at this particular stage, I would say the signal line turned positive. So we knew that this was the primary trend which was happening, right? This was the primary trend which was happening. But from over here, we can see the histogram color actually started changing slowly, right? So this over here was nothing but a red, light red color. That is what I would say. So in this situation, I would say the primary trend which was previously negative, which we can easily identify from the signal line, in that we can say this is nothing but the correction that is happening. So this particular light color shades are nothing but indicating slight correction that is happening, right? Similarly, over here, whenever the signal line, whenever the histogram converts into a dark green color, we can say that we have got the confirmation of the correction. That means this was the point when the correction actually started. This was the point when we got the confirmation of the correction, and this is the point when we actually saw a trend reversal. So you see, all these different stages of the MACD of any particular trend could be easily identified by using a simple indicator as such as MACD. Over here again, we can see the change of primary trend into negative. Now this itself, that is the reversal, could be directly identified from the changing of blue line from positive to negative. That means when the blue color line goes from a positive number into a negative number, we would say at this particular point the reversal has actually happened. And once we saw the reversal happening, you will get a very clear signal, very clear idea like whether you should be there in that particular stock or not. Over here again, we can see we got a very clear signal to go bullish. Why? Because the trend has now completely changed from downward trend, or we can say consolidation trend, into a positive trend, then you can easily try to ride this particular stock, and whenever you see a particular pullback, you can actually use this as a buying opportunity in that particular stock. So I hope you get a very clear idea like how you can use MACD signal line, that is the blue line, in order to identify the reversals very correctly as well as the correction moves, right? Now let's come to this particular part once again. Now over here, like I said, the primary trend was previously positive. This was the primary trend which was acting like a positive. Then the signal line became negative. The blue line became negative. That means we were into negative trend. And over here, what we saw is that the histogram was turning light red. Now what it means is that this particular move as of now is just acting like a correction, right? So the correction actually started at this particular level. When you see the MACD turning dark green, but you see the signal lines are still below, zero line, it indicates the correction is still in phase and the correction has not yet completed. But as soon as we see this particular line getting above the particular zero line, we can see the trend has actually changed from a primary trend negative to a primary trend positive. Or we can even say sometimes what happens is that the trend, rather than completely reversing, it will get into consolidation, and that is what has happened over here. So though we see the trend has changed into positive, but more or less it started getting into a consolidation. So it's not necessary that every time we'll see a direct reversal. Most of the time we can also see before a trend change there is some kind of a correction or consolidation. Now coming back to the final point about the MACD is that how do we get the confirmation of a correction move? Now here we can say that the primary trend was positive, right? So from this particular point, I saw the primary trend positive, and when this particular light histogram started, this was a point when correction actually started. So correction or consolidation started, but as soon as we see that the histogram has turned dark red, we can say now the correction confirmation is been there. For example, let's say the particular stock was moving up, right? And at some point other stock will start consolidating or slowly moving down. At this point we don't know whether the stock is still going to move up or it is going to give a correction. But as soon as we see that the histogram has turned into a dark red color, we can be very sure that we have started giving a particular correction. That means at least we should not think about adding a particular stock very quickly. If a correction is happening, you should probably find a good support level and wait for the particular stock to move till that particular point, and when it reaches that particular point, only then you should think about adding or booking your profit or losses, whatever it is, as per your position. Over here also what we can see is a very simple thing. The primary trend was negative, right? And basically this was correction, negative correction that was happening, and from over here we got an idea about the positive correction. That means we saw that the stock actually started giving a positive correction. So this particular tells you very clearly that how you can actually use MACD in order to identify the positive trends, primary trend, negative trend, and even corrections and reversal. A simple indicator, but still of a lot of use. Now on this particular channel, I keep on sharing multiple videos related to stock market education, and in the description I have also mentioned a link to the WhatsApp where you can connect with the community and keep on learning together with all of us. Thank you everyone. This is Akash signing off.